If the years have felt wasted, this is meant for you. If the time has felt subtracted, this finds you. If you have been doing the quiet math, you are not alone in that. If you have been comparing your timeline to someone faster, this finds you. If something inside has been asking to stop counting losses, that is what this is. You do not have to defend any of it. You only have to let the words land. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. I have not wasted any of it. I have not wasted any of the years I have been counting as lost. I have not wasted any of the years that did not arrive at the outcome I expected. The years were not waste. The years were the arc. The years were the path actually took. I can let the math close. I can let the ledger rest. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. Every chapter was me quietly becoming who I am now. Every chapter was me becoming, even the chapters I would not choose again. The chapters were not detours. The chapters were the road. The chapters were the only way the arc could have arrived here. I can let the chapters count. I can stand inside the woman they have made. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. The seasons that did not produce a visible outcome were doing their quiet work. The seasons that looked empty from the outside were producing what was happening on the inside. The work was invisible. The work was happening between checkpoints. The work was building someone the visible outcomes could not have built. I can credit the invisible years. I can let the empty-looking seasons count. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. The relationship I stayed in too long was teaching me. The relationship I stayed in past its sell-by was teaching me what I would not accept again. The relationship I stayed in past its sell-by was the chapter where I grew the eyes I now have. The staying was not stupidity. The staying was a phase of becoming. The staying gave me the discernment I now walk forward with. I can credit the staying with the learning. I can let the chapter close without erasing it. The relationship was teaching me. The career that did not become a career was teaching me. The career path I left behind was teaching me what kind of work fits me. The career path I left behind was the chapter where I learned what my life is not for. The path was bounded. The path was a season, not the whole map. The path gave me a clarity I could not have arrived at without walking it. I can credit the path with the clarity. I can let the path stay where I left it. The career was teaching me. The city I left was a chapter, not a deletion. The city I left was a chapter that taught me what kind of place I belong in. The city I left was the chapter where I learned what does not fit my life. The leaving was not failure. The leaving was information I could only get by living there. The leaving was the city's gift to me. I can let the city be a chapter. I can keep what it taught me without keeping the address. The city was a chapter, not a deletion. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. The version of me who chose then was doing what she could. The version of me who chose then was doing what she could with what she had. The version of me who chose then was doing what she could with what she had at that time. She did not have what I have now. She did not know what I now know. She made the only choices the woman she was then could have made. I can meet her with the eyes I have now. I can let her have been a person, not a verdict. The version of me who chose then was doing what she could. The math against my own life is allowed to stop. The math I have been doing against my own life is allowed to stop tonight. The math I have been doing against my own life since I started comparing timelines is allowed to stop. The math was self-imposed. The math was a habit I learned somewhere and kept running. The math was the cost of treating my arc as a deficit. I can let the math close. I can let the calculator power down. The math is allowed to stop. The timeline that is not mine is allowed to be theirs. The timeline that belongs to my sister is allowed to be hers. The timeline that belongs to my colleague who arrived younger is allowed to be theirs alone. Their arc was their arc. Their arc was made of their information. Their arc was never the standard mine was supposed to meet. I can let their timeline be theirs. I can let mine be the only timeline I am inside. The timeline that is not mine is allowed to be theirs. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. The years I cannot prove anything by are still real. The years I cannot point to a milestone in are still real and still mine. The years I cannot point to a milestone in were where the quiet building happened. The proof is not the milestone. The proof is the woman walking forward now. The proof is the woman reading the paragraph who recognizes the wound. I can let the woman be the proof. I can stop asking the years to certify themselves. The years I cannot prove anything by are still real. Nothing about me has been removed. Nothing about my life has been removed by the chapters that did not last. Nothing about my life has been removed by the choices I would not make again. The chapters added. The chapters did not subtract. The chapters left their lessons inside the woman I am now. I can let the addition count. I can let the subtraction be a story I am no longer telling. Nothing about me has been removed. The detour was the road. What I have been calling a detour was actually the road my life was on. What I have been calling a detour was the only road that could have arrived here. The road did not have to look right. The road did not have to be efficient. The road only had to be the road I was actually walking. I can let the detour be the road. I can let the route be valid because it is the route I lived. The detour was the road. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. The wisdom I now carry could not have arrived another way. The wisdom I now carry could not have arrived without the chapters I have been crediting as wasted. The wisdom I now carry was being earned in years I was not counting. The wisdom is real. The wisdom is the residue of every chapter, including the ones I would not choose again. The wisdom is what those years were paying me in. I can let the wisdom be the receipt. I can let it be enough that the years made me wise. The wisdom could not have arrived another way. You are not behind by the years you have been counting. You are not behind by the years you have been counting against your own life. You are not behind by the years you have been comparing to someone whose arc was not yours. The years did not put you behind. The years put you here. The years put you in the chapter where this paragraph could meet you. You can let the comparison rest. You can let your arc be your arc. You are not behind by the years you have been counting. Your timeline does not have to match anyone. Your timeline does not have to match the timeline of anyone who arrived faster. Your timeline does not have to match the timeline of anyone who chose differently. The timeline is yours. The timeline was made of the information you had. The timeline was made by the only you who was actually living it. You can let your timeline be yours. You can let theirs be theirs. Your timeline does not have to match anyone. The woman the years have made is the woman I am now. The woman the years have made is the woman walking forward into the rest of her life. The woman the years have made is the only woman who could have arrived at this version of me. The making was real. The making happened in the years I was busy subtracting. The making is who I am, not what I owe. I can stand inside the woman the years made. I can stop apologizing for the years that made her. The woman the years have made is the woman I am now. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. The growth between checkpoints is real growth. The growth that happened between checkpoints is real growth that counts. The growth that happened between checkpoints is the kind that does not show up in photos. The growth was quiet. The growth was the kind nobody throws a party for. The growth was the kind that only the woman who lived it can credit. I can credit the growth between checkpoints. I can let the unphotographed years count. The growth between checkpoints is real growth. The version of me I have grown past is allowed to have existed. The version of me I have grown past is allowed to have been a chapter, not an embarrassment. The version of me I have grown past is allowed to have been a stage I needed to move through. She was not wrong. She was earlier. She was the woman walking the only road that could arrive at me. I can let her have been a stage. I can welcome her into the ark without putting her in charge. The version of me I have grown past is allowed to have existed. The forward me is grateful for the years I have been subtracting. The forward me of 5 years from now is grateful for the years I have been subtracting tonight. The forward me will look back at these years the way I'm learning to look back at the previous ones. The forward me already knows the chapters I am still inside. The forward me knows the years count even when they do not look like they count yet. The forward me is glad I started letting the years be kept tonight. I can let the forward me look back kindly. I can become the woman she has been waiting to remember. The forward me is grateful for the years I have been subtracting. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. The current me is not paying for the previous me's pace. The current me is not paying for the previous me's pace forever. The current me is not paying interest on a timeline that nobody outside is collecting on. The debt was self-imposed. The debt was built out of comparison. The debt was something I kept paying out of habit. I can let the payment stop. I can let my present be my present. The current me is not paying for the previous me's pace. The accumulation is the arc. The accumulation of every chapter is the arc of who I am. The accumulation of every chapter, including the ones that did not produce an outcome, is the arc. The arc is not what was supposed to happen. The arc is what did happen. The arc is the only arc I have, and it is whole. I can let the arc be the arc. I can let the accumulation count as a life. The accumulation is the arc. Every year is still in me. Every year of the arc is still inside me, even the years I have been counting as lost. Every year of the arc is still inside me, doing the work of being part of who I am now. The years did not leave. The years went in. The years became the woman who reads this paragraph and recognizes herself. I can let the years stay. I can let the keeping be the truth. Every year is still in me. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. I get to keep what the years have made. I get to keep the wisdom, the discernment, the eyes that have grown sharper. I get to keep the woman the years have made and walk forward as her. The keeping is allowed. The keeping is not a betrayal of what the years also cost. The keeping is the only honest direction the arc was going to go. I can keep what I have made. I can let the next page be the next page. I get to keep what the years have made. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. I have not wasted any of it. Every chapter was me becoming. The seasons without outcomes were doing their work. Nothing has been subtracted from me, and every year is still in me. Take one breath and feel the practice complete inside you. Everything that was spoken is now yours. You do not need to hold on to it. It already belongs to you. Now you rest in the feeling. You do not need to make it happen in this moment. You only need to let it in, without subtracting, without comparing, without doing the math against your own life. Breathe, soften, settle. When you open your eyes, you are different than when you closed them. Let that be true. Notice what feels more possible. Notice what feels lighter. The woman every year has made is not far. You are moving toward each other,